John, and thanks Pastor Morrison for hosting this tonight, and thanks to all of you for being part of this event. So I wear two hats on this issue. One of them, a mom of kids, a kindergarten student and a second grade student who are going through their Common Core education right now, so I experience it as a parent and as an advocate. And it's a really interesting blend of experiences, and I think on the one hand, I'm really proud of Connecticut because I think when I look around the country at other places where there's been lots of really nasty fights about the Common Core, we don't see that here. And I think you hear, even though each of us at the table has a slightly different perspective on it, a real commitment to try to make this work. And I think that's really important because I think it's one of the most profound things that we're going to do as a state and as a country for our kids in terms of making sure that they have access to a set of standards that are rich and rigorous and will prepare them for the challenges they're going to face in jobs that don't even exist yet. And so I'm proud that Connecticut has weathered this storm, but I think it's not without its problems, as you heard. There's a lot of confusion about what the Common Core is. I often joke that I feel like you'll hear people say, well, I don't like this that's happening, and well, we'll blame that on the Common Core. It has become like the sort of dumping ground for everything that people have a concern about, and sometimes rightly so and sometimes unjustly so. I think there's a lot of confusion about what it is. It's, as everybody said on the panel, it's a set of standards. It's not a curriculum. Decisions about that are made locally. It's not a set of textbooks. Decisions about that are made locally. And it's not a test, although the test is separate, and there is a test. It's called the Smarter Balance Test that is aligned with the Common Core, but those two things are separate. There's a lot of confusion, especially at the earlier grades, about what it means, particularly in math, I think, where how kids are learning math is very different than how we learned math. And I will often, as I'm trying to help my daughter with her homework, struggle myself. But I've had a real aha moment lately where I watched my second grader teach my kindergartner math. And in listening to her explain the concepts to my youngest daughter, oh, I wish I had learned math that way now. I understand. Because the idea is to really learn the sort of concepts and skills, not just memorize the facts, so that when they get to the higher grades, they're able to kind of be ready for the challenges ahead of them. I think there's lots of kind of myths about how it was developed and who developed it and why Connecticut adopted it. We adopted it voluntarily. The State Board of Education did. It was developed by a consortium of leaders from all over the country outside of the federal government. There's lots of confusion about that. And I'd be happy to talk about that. I think what we face now, and I think you heard that in different ways throughout each of the panelists' comments, is how do we stay the course on this really, really important endeavor while also addressing the inevitable bumps in the road, and make adjustments as needed so that we don't lose our path on this really important thing. So, for example, the task force identified a few challenges to implementation that I believe the state is going to address. I think there are other areas like curriculum or textbooks where you have a lot of folks, and I'm not going to assign intent here, but who will say, oh, our textbook is Common Core aligned, and they'll slap a Common Core sticker on it, even though it is not at all aligned. And helping people at the local level sort through those claims, I think, is something that we could provide greater assistance on.